Part 1.
You will hear a conversation between two friends, Ayan and Pratima. Ayan is visiting Mumbai, where Pratima lives. First, you have time to look at questions 1 to 3. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3. Hello, this is Ayan. Can I please speak with Pratima?
Hi, Ayan. Good morning. No, good afternoon. Nice to hear from you. How have you been?
Hi Pratima, I'm fine. What about you?
Same here.
I have the next Friday off, so I'm planning to come to Mumbai for a weekend trip.
Oh, that's great news. Let's meet over lunch once you land in the city.
I would love that.
Have you been to Mumbai before?
No. Actually, this is my first visit and I'm hoping you could help me plan my trip.
Sure, no problem. What is your flight schedule?
I have booked an evening flight to Mumbai for Thursday and then I have an early morning flight back home on Monday, which leaves me with 3 days to explore the city.
Great. It seems you have enough time to make the most of your trip. And where would you be staying?
Before you listen to the remaining part of the recording, you have 30 seconds to read questions 4 to 10. I have booked a hotel in Juhu because I wanted to be near the beach.
That's great. Juhu is one of the posh areas of the city, and it's pretty close to the major shopping districts and cafes. Not to forget the famous Juhu beach, where you can get some delicious pav bhaji.
The beach and the pav bhaji are already on my to-do list. What else is nearby?
There is Prithvi Theatre, named after the famous Prithvi Raj Kapoor, where you can go to watch a play. I think they are staging one of Shakespeare's comedies next weekend. There is also an open-air cafe and a small bookshop which you can visit.
Sounds great. I'll check their schedule online.
And since you are a first-time visitor, I'm sure you'd like to sightsee a bit. You have to see the Gateway of India, which is right next to the ocean. You can also go book a slot for some leisure sailing with the many boat clubs that have their stalls set up nearby.
Really? That sounds thrilling. I have never gone sailing before. But I hope it's safe because I don't know how to swim.
You will be in good hands, don't worry. These boating clubs are run by certified sailors with years of experience and expertise.
Oh, good. That sounds reassuring. I was also thinking of taking a road trip from Mumbai on Saturday and visit some of the less crowded, picturesque locales around the city.
Oh yes, you should. I can give you a couple suggestions and you can take your pick. Firstly, there is always good old Lonavala Khandala. The Twin Hill Resorts happen to be one of the best places to de-stress and relax. It's a lovely drive up to Lonavala Khandala amidst lush green hills, about 90 kilometers away from Mumbai. There are many places to visit there, like Duke's Nose, Korigad Fort, Tiger's Leap, Lohagad, Bushi Dam, Bedsa Caves and Lonavala Lake. If you're feeling adventurous, you can also go camping and trekking. But always remember to carry your umbrella, raincoat and rain shoes. It rains very frequently over there.
That sounds so enticing. I feel like dropping everything and running there right now. What are the other suggestions?
Next is Matheran. Perched atop the Western Ghats, Mathiran is one of the oldest hill stations located about 83 kilometers away from Mumbai. The vibrant green pastures, serene and quiet environment makes Mathiran a perfect weekend retreat. A ride on the Neral Mathiran toy train is a must as it snakes its way through the Ghats. Simply walking around Mathiran and trying out local Marathi cuisine is extremely refreshing. My final suggestion is Alibag. Located around 95 kilometers away from Mumbai, Alibag can be reached either by road or via ferry. It is a coastal town in the Konkan region and is the perfect place if you want to try out water sports or simply laze around on the pristine sandy beaches of Alibag or Varsoli. If you are interested in some history, then Alibag will give you a taste of that too. It has the remains of a 17th century island fortress, Colaba Fort, an old Portuguese fort called Corlai Fort, and the grandiose fortress of Murud Janjira. So, which one would you like to visit?
Oh, wow! Now I am entirely confused. They all sound wonderful, but unfortunately, I don't have time for all of them. I think I will go to Lonavala Khandala. I'm craving a quiet vacation with a view of the hills.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Cut 2.
Before you listen to the audio, check questions 11 to 20. You have 30 seconds for this. So, Sakshi, what are you planning to do after finishing school?
I'm hoping to study medicine because firstly, it's been my dream since childhood. And secondly, if you have a degree in medicine, you won't be unemployed ever. But the tough part is getting into a medical school. And I'll need a good AIMPT score.
How confident are you about it?
Well, I can't say I'm confident, but I might get a good rank. And my parents would be very sad if I didn't.
Why on earth should your parents be very sad if you didn't get into a medical school? There are so many other options.
Because both of them are doctors and highly successful in their career.
I don't have a problem. My parents no longer live together, and they are too busy with their own problems to worry about me. But I'm sure you worry about your future. Yes, I do. And for that reason, I've worked real hard for entrance exams. And I'm hoping to do well enough to get into a top university.
What subject?
Economics?
Why economics?
Because after graduation, I hope to do masters from a good B school. And I would like to specialize in finance. And what about you, Amandeep?
First, I thought I'd get into computers. But after studying computing in 12th grade, I feel it's not my cup of tea. I'd like to study modern history. I think humanities offers a broad education on world affairs and history is my first love.
But from the point of view of employment...
It's not totally hopeless either. One can think of public administration or academics. Also, it's less competitive to get in.
But Aman, you don't have to worry about grades. I'm sure you will do very well.
Yes, I really don't think I'll do too badly. And Kabir, what about you?
I've taken entrance tests at a number of engineering colleges in Bengaluru. I'm aiming to join one of them and study mechanical engineering. Hopefully, I'll make it. You see, I love making things with my hands. My room is bursting with contraptions made out of DIY kits. I didn't know you are leaving Delhi so soon. Well, my dad works for a private bank and we are moving back to our native place, Bengaluru, when his tenure ends next month.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3. Part 3.
You will hear a tutor and a student discussing a project the student is working on. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 27.
Right, Stewart. Well, I've read your draft report on your work placement at the Central Museum Association. Sounds as if you had an interesting time. So you ended up making a film for them?
Yeah, it was a film to train the employees in different museums in the techniques they should use for labelling ancient objects without damaging them. Some of them are really fragile.
Okay. So in your report, you go through the main stages in making the film. Let's discuss that in a little more detail. You had to find a location, somewhere to shoot the film.
That took quite a few days because I had to look at different museums all over the country, but I'd allowed time for it. And even though it was the middle of winter, there wasn't any snow, so I didn't have any transport problems.
Right. Did you have to decide what equipment you'd need for the filming?
Yes, I think they were quite surprised at how well I managed that. It was just the luck of the draw, actually. I'd done that project with you last year.
Oh, on recording technology? So you knew a bit about it from that, right?
Yeah. What I found really hard was actually writing the script. I had a deadline for that, but the association had to extend it. I couldn't have done it otherwise.
Would it have helped if you'd had some training there?
I think you're right. I probably needed that, yeah.
Right. Now, from your draft report, it sounds as if you had 1 or 2 problems deciding who was going to actually appear in the video.
The casting, yeah. I'd expected that the people who worked for the association would be really keen on taking part.
But they weren't?
The thing was, they were all so busy, and it did mean some of them had to travel. But Janice King, who I was reporting to for the project, she was great. She arranged for people to have time off and for their work to be covered, so that was a big help for me.
Right. And it sounds like the filming itself went well. I gather you found a company who provided an online introduction to the techniques.
Yeah, it was really informative and very user-friendly. I learned a lot from it.
And then the editing?
For that, the association put me in touch with someone who works for one of the big movie companies, and I went down to the studio and sat with him in front of his computer for a day, learning how to cut and paste and deal with the soundtrack and so on.
So was that all?
No, I didn't include this in my draft report, but I had to design the cover for the DVD as well, the lettering and everything.
Have you done any of that sort of design work before?
No, but I did a rough draft and then talked it through with a couple of my mates, and they gave me some more ideas, and when I'd finished it, I showed it to the people who worked at the association, and they really liked it.
Excellent.
Now listen and answer questions 28 to 30.
Now, as well as your own draft report, I've also received some written evaluation from the association on the work you did during your placement, and how it was of benefit to them. I noticed that you haven't included anything on that in your report yet.
How my project benefited the association, you mean? So, do I have to include that?
Yes.
Well, let's think. I suppose if I hadn't made the film for them, they'd have had to get an outside company to do it. But because I was actually working for the association, I'd got much more of a feeling for what their aims are. Things like their responsibility for the conservation of the exhibits. I don't think an outside company would have had that understanding. They'd have been more detached.
Right. And the association also said that because of your background, you had a good idea of where to go to get the best deal for the equipment you needed. They said the saving in expense made it worthwhile, even though sourcing it took quite a bit of time.
Yes, that's true.
The association also said making the film had a very positive effect in getting staff to work together more closely.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. That's good. And certainly, people weren't afraid to tell me what they thought about it as I was making it, so I was able to get lots of feedback at every stage. That was useful for me, but it also meant the final product worked better for them.
Can you think of any other benefits?
Well, I don't think they'd really thought out what they'd do with the film once it was made. I made quite a few suggestions for the distribution, other people we could send it to, as well as museum staff.
Yes, they mentioned that. Okay, good. Well, it sounds like they certainly... That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
In this section, you'll hear a message left to John on how to look after the house.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Hello, John. Welcome to the house. I'm really pleased that you can be here to look after my house while I'm away. Here are some things you need to know about the house. Important stuff like when the garbage is collected. In fact, let's start with the garbage, which is collected on Friday. Just write garbage on the calendar on the days they take it away. Put it out on Friday every week. That'll be Friday the 22nd, Friday the 29th, and Friday the 5th. It's a really good service. The trucks are quiet and the service is efficient. The bin would be put outside of the house empty. It's a good idea to put it away quickly. This street can be quite windy. I once watched my next-door neighbour chase her bin the whole length of the street. Every time she nearly caught up with it, it got away again. The waste paper will be collected this Tuesday. That's Tuesday the 19th. There's a plastic box full of paper in the front room. Please put it out on Tuesday. The truck will come during the day. If you don't mind collecting old newspapers and other paper and putting them in the box, I'll put it out when I come home. The paper people only come monthly. I have some things to give to charity in a box in the front room. Would you put it out on Monday the 25th, please? It's a box of old clothes and some bed linen which I've collected, plus a few other bits and pieces. The charity truck will come by during the day on the last Monday of the month. Like the paper people, it comes monthly. If you want to use the library, you'll find it on Darling Street. I've left my borrower's card near the telephone. It has a very good local reference section if you want to find out more about this city. The library is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday to Saturday. I'm sorry to say that we don't have a cleaner. Oh yes, filters. Would you please change the filters on the washing machine on the last week of the month, no matter which day? We find that the machine works much better if we change the filters regularly. The gas company reads the meter on the 30th, the last Saturday. I think that's all the information about our calendar of events. Well, John, I'm trying to think what else I should be telling you. As you know, I'm going to a conference in London. I hope to have a little time to look around. It's a great city. I do hope I manage to get at least some of the theatres and museums. I'm looking forward to all the things I have to do at the conference too. I'm giving a paper on Tuesday the 26th, and there are a couple of exciting events planned later in the conference programme. I hope to meet up with an old teacher of mine at the conference. She taught English literature at my high school, and we've kept in touch through letters over the years. She now teaches at the University of Durham, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her again. By the way, I expect you're hungry after your trip. I've left a meal in the refrigerator for you. I hope you like cheese and onion pie. Would you do me a favour, please? I haven't had time to cancel an appointment. It was made a long time ago, and I forgot about it until this morning. It's with my dentist for a checkup on Thursday the 28th. Could you please call the dentist on 8162-525 and cancel the appointment for me? Thanks a lot, John. One last thing. When you leave the house, make sure the windows and doors are shut, and set the burglar alarm. The alarm code number is 9120. Have fun. I'll see you when I get back. This is your friend Martha, saying goodbye.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the